What if you had the strength of a superhero? Imagine a world not so different from our own, except for one fundamental, extraordinary change. You, an ordinary person, wake up one morning with the incredible strength of a superhero. You might know strength as the ability to lift a heavy box, shove a car if it won't start, or wrestle a stubborn lid off a jar. But superhero strength is something else altogether, something drawn straight from comic books and movies, a force that defies the known laws of physics, a gift that sets you apart from the billions walking the earth. What if that power, otherworldly and awe-inspiring, suddenly belonged to you? What would it feel like? How would it shape your daily experiences, your relationships, and ultimately, your destiny? Let's begin with the sensation itself. Imagine starting your day as usual. The morning sunlight trickles in through your window. You swing your legs over the side of the bed and stand up. Only now, the action feels strangely effortless, as if your body weighs nothing at all. Maybe, without even realizing it, you grip the bedpost, or accidentally crush your alarm clock as you reach to silence it. Your muscles, suddenly responsive and powerful in a way you've never experienced, don't just do what you want. They surge with potential, awaiting your command. Every movement comes so easily. Walking feels like gliding. Stairs present no challenge. Objects that once felt heavy, your backpack, bags of groceries, even your neighbor's motor scooter, feel as if they're made of air. Very quickly, you are forced to reconsider everything you know about strength and movement. Next comes the realization. With a casual flex, you could lift your car. With a single hand, you could hoist that cumbersome couch, or uproot a tree, or support a crumbling wall. Where once you hesitated, calculating the limits of your body, you now feel limitless. To picture this new reality, think about legendary superheroes. Superman, Wonder Woman, the Hulk. Their stories are filled with feats of strength, bending metal, leaping tall buildings, carrying tanks, halting disasters. With such power at your disposal, everything about the world looks different. Your environment, designed for average human abilities, suddenly seems fragile, delicate, and, at times, comically insufficient for your might. Consider, for example, a simple handshake. With normal strength, you grip gently enough not to crush bones or cause pain. But with superhero strength, you'd have to deliberately restrain yourself. Even a light squeeze could shatter a hand. Every action requires conscious control and precision. Opening doors could mean tearing them from their hinges. Sitting on a lawn chair might result in its instant collapse. Even a loving hug could unintentionally cause harm if you are not extremely careful. This new strength means you would need to relearn the minutiae of movement and restraint to master your body anew. Your daily life becomes an exercise in self-control and vigilance, ensuring that every gesture and decision is measured. In time, you would adapt. You would train yourself, learning the gentle art of not using your full strength. Like a pianist learning the subtleties of touch on the keys, or a sculptor working delicately with fragile clay. With this remarkable strength, the question arises, what responsibilities would you now have? It's a dilemma famously encapsulated in the phrase, with great power comes great responsibility. Would you reveal your ability to the world? Would you use it to help others, to prevent disasters, or to defend the defenseless? Or would you choose to keep your gift a secret, wary of the dangers and burdens that may arise? If you choose to step forward, your strength would be a force for good on a scale previously unimaginable. Imagine a world where you can lift a collapsed bridge, freeing trapped commuters. Picture yourself holding up the roof of a burning building while firefighters rescue those inside. Imagine becoming the first line of defense during natural disasters, hurricanes, earthquakes, floods, clearing debris, carrying victims to safety, or reinforcing structures. News would spread of your deeds, and you would be called upon again and again, perhaps by emergency services, by governments, and eventually by people from every corner of the globe. Of course, the public reaction would be profound. At first, there would be shock and disbelief, skepticism and curiosity. How did this happen? What are the limits of your power? Are you safe? Are you a hero, a threat, or something in between? Scientists would beg to study your biology. Governments would scramble to secure your allegiance. Interviews, offers, and endless questions would flood your life as the world sought to comprehend and possibly control what you represent. As a superhero in all but name, you would face a new kind of fame, sometimes admiration, sometimes fear. For every person you save, there would be others suspicious of your motives. You would become a symbol, for better or for worse, a lightning rod for the hopes, fears, and dreams of humanity. Your actions would be scrutinized and interpreted in countless ways. Every appearance, every word, every mistake would be newsworthy. Yet, your help would be transformative. That incredible strength could revolutionize rescue operations, speed up construction, and even alter the course of wars. Instead of cranes and bulldozers, you might become the go-to force for lifting, moving, or building. Bridges and buildings could rise in hours instead of years. The world would be filled with possibilities, but there would also be personal challenges. How would your friendships and relationships change under the weight of such a burden? Those you love might look at you differently, fearful of your strength, or concerned for your safety as you race into danger. Would you find companionship and understanding among those who are now so different from you physically? Could those closest to you accept and embrace your new identity? Your own sense of self would be tested. Would you still be the same person, or would this strength define you? Would you use your power for fame, profit, or influence, or would you dedicate yourself solely to the greater good? The temptations would be ever present, the lines between right and wrong more complex than ever before. Stories about superheroes often delve into these questions for good reason. Such power tests not only one's abilities, but also one's character. Secrecy, on the other hand, could offer a quieter life, but not a simple one. Keeping your strength hidden would mean living a double life, constantly restraining yourself and inventing excuses for things that happen around you. Door frames mysteriously breaking, objects bending or snapping, feats that defy explanation. You would have to be vigilant, careful not to reveal your power, perhaps even isolating yourself to protect others and your own peace. The burden would still be there, a secret you share with no one, an invisible weight as heavy as any building you could lift. Amid all these choices, there's another equally fascinating question. What would the world itself look like if everyone possessed this strength? If suddenly humanity were blessed, or cursed, with superhuman power, the very fabric of society would be forced to change. Our cities, designed for our current limitations, would quickly prove inadequate. Doors, furniture, even vehicles would need to be reinforced. Sports would be unrecognizable, perhaps even impossible, unless the boundaries shifted to accommodate these new titans. The nature of work would change, as physical labor became trivial for everyone. Ingenuity, creativity, and emotional intelligence would become the most valued human traits. Conflict and war would take on a new and terrifying dimension. Instead of conventional weapons, the destructive power of individual humans would rival that of tanks or explosives. Global stability might depend more than ever on wisdom, restraint, and diplomacy, rather than on physical might or military strength. When one person has extraordinary abilities, it changes their life. When all people do, it changes everything. But let us return to you, the person suddenly gifted with this superhuman power. After the initial shock and awe passes, daily life settles into a new rhythm. You begin to explore the limits of your own strength. Can you leap across rooftops in a single bound? Can you withstand bullets or withstand falling debris? Are there boundaries to your power, things you cannot lift or resist? The scientific curiosity within you awakens, and perhaps you allow yourself to be tested, pushing yourself just a little further each day. You might discover that your strength is only one part of the equation. In stories, true superheroes are not defined solely by their might, but by their choices, their empathy, and their willingness to do what is right. Every day, you learn a little more about yourself and the world around you. Acts of kindness become easier, helping the elderly cross the street, fixing a neighbor's broken fence, stopping a runaway cart before it injures someone. These small moments, as much as your grand feats, shape your newfound existence. Still, there are deeper, subtler ways this strength would affect your life. The confidence that comes with knowing you are safe from harm, most weapons, most threats, become trivial. Fear, that ever-present shadow in everyday life, fades away. You walk through dark alleys, stride atop high scaffolding, and intervene in dangerous situations without a second thought. Yet, with that security comes a new set of fears. The fear of isolating yourself from normal experience, the fear of losing touch with those you wish to protect, the fear of what might happen if you lose control, even for a moment. Imagine, too, how your sense of time would shift. Tasks that once took minutes or hours can now be completed in seconds. Digging a foundation, moving furniture, shoveling snow, all effortless. You could travel the world, helping on farms, repairing roads, even delivering supplies to those in need. Your days would stretch before you with endless possibilities, limited only by your imagination and your desire to help. Others would undoubtedly seek your help, both for good and for ill. Some might come to you in desperation, hoping for a miracle, to save someone trapped, to lift a burden, to change a life. Others might try to use you for their own purposes, to build their fortunes or gain influence. Navigating these requests would require judgment and discernment, a moral compass as finely tuned as your biceps. In time, you might realize that strength alone does not guarantee happiness or fulfillment. True satisfaction comes not just from what you can do, but from how you choose to use your power. Will you dedicate yourself to selfless service, or carve out a space for your own dreams and desires? The choice is yours, and each path offers its own rewards and its own challenges. From physical strength comes the question of vulnerability. Superheroes often find that, despite their might, they remain vulnerable in other ways. To loneliness, to loss, to the knowledge that, despite their power, they cannot save everyone. You too would face such truths. When disaster strikes, you can do more than most, but not everything. The world's suffering would confront you daily, and you would have to learn the hard limits of your compassion and your capacity. There are triumphs, of course. Maybe you save lives at a dramatic accident scene or rescue someone from certain death. Perhaps you become a symbol of hope, inspiring others to see the good in humanity and to strive for more. Even without superpowers of their own, your actions might start movements, inspiring people to be kinder, braver, and more generous. And yet, there will be moments of doubt. When the world grows weary of your interventions, or when enemies arise who seek to challenge your power, you may struggle with the burden of your gift. You would ask yourself time and again if you are doing enough, if you are using your power wisely, if you are still the person you want to be. In such times, perhaps you find solace in the small things, the laughter of friends, the love of family, the satisfaction of a job well done. Your strength becomes not just a tool for grand deeds, but a quiet reassurance, a steady hand on the wheel of your life. For those who look upon heroes, it is easy to focus on the spectacle, the leaping, the lifting, the indestructible will. But in truth, the greatest superpower is not what lies in the muscles or the sinews, but in the heart. The ability to care, to dream, to hope. As the days turn to months, you would redefine what it means to be strong. The world would test you, pushing you to your limits and beyond. But you, strengthened by purpose, humility, and kindness, would keep going. You would learn that strength must be tempered with wisdom, that humility is the true companion of power, and that, in the end, what matters most is not what you can lift, but whom you can lift up. So, what if you had the strength of a superhero? You would move through the world as both an ordinary human and an extraordinary force. You would inspire awe and wonder, face trials and temptations, and ultimately find that, while power changes everything, it also requires that you become more than you were before. A hero, not by virtue of your strength alone, but by the choices you make every day. This journey would be uniquely yours, filled with shining victories and daunting setbacks, moments of loneliness and celebration. And as you look out at the world from your new vantage point, you might come to understand that the greatest strength of all is not found in what you can do with your hands, but in what you can do with your heart. Superhero strength means many things. the opportunity to reshape the world, the responsibility to protect, the challenge of becoming more than you ever thought possible. But it also means learning, each day, how to live in a world that suddenly seems so small, and remembering that, even with all the strength in the universe, it is still the small, kind acts that build the world we wish to see. And maybe, that is the real secret of what it means to be a superhero after all. Thank you for watching the video. What do you think about today's topic? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and share the video to support the channel. Thanks again, and see you in the next video.